Hi everyone, so welcome to my capstone project. My capstone project is the effectiveness of training and developing employees to engage with at-risk consumers. As many of you guys know, I was interning with Corona Life Services, which is a pregnancy clinic that specializes in providing medical and educational services that are beneficial to families who are expecting a child. Just a little background about Corona Life Services. The medical services that are offered include pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, medical education, and childbirth and lactation classes. On the educational side, it includes mentoring for mothers and fathers, grief and loss support, um, abortion recovery, and as well as domestic violence support. So, after conducting a needs assessment with the agency resulted in a lack of proper phone etiquette skills by the receptionist to address the concerns for the at-risk consumers. And what I mean by the at-risk consumers is that these are women who became pregnant and are currently looking for services to seek an abortion. And so we do not refer anybody out to an abortion clinic, nor do we provide abortion procedures within the center. And so what was happening was that many of these women were hanging up on the receptionist, or they were either transferred to a nurse practitioner. So after discussing the finding with my executive director and the client services manager, a training manual and a training session were created to provide the receptionist with the knowledge and confidence to assist with a at-risk client. The training consisted of 5 receptionists. They were all female, but because the Kernel Life Services operates with staff and volunteers, 3 receptionists were employees of Kernel Life, and the other 2 were volunteers. And so before I began the training manual, 2 surveys, a pretest and post-test, was distributed to each participant to understand what type of material was needed to be covered within the training manual. And after conducting the pretest survey with the receptionist, many of them have scored very low than what was expected by the executive director and the client services manager. Many of the receptionists did not know the certain protocols that had been placed within the agency. Just a few examples that occurred during the study consisted of breaching confidentiality and not knowing the full extent of the services that Kernel Life Services offers. When pertaining to the services that the agency provides, 80% of the participants did not know the reason behind scheduling the ultrasounds for any client, besides the basis of being able to see the baby. And so when I gathered this data, I created a training manual that contained a phone script as well. The phone script served the purpose as giving kind of like a basis of what to ask to the abortion minded clients or abortion vulnerable clients in order for them to come into the clinic. Our goal was for these people who were calling into the center to come visit the nurse practitioner face to face rather than through phone call. I also introduced the NSAW Code of Ethics into the agency as well as HIPAA, just kind of referring. This agency is up to date with HIPAA, but just kind of referring the code of HIPAA and how you should avoid breaking confidentiality. If you look at my presentation, one graph displays the results of the pretest prior to a training session, while the second graph displays the results post-training. And so you can see that many of them after the training gained the confidence of wanting to be able to help an at-risk client. I also want to note that the receptionists understand that they are not a medical professional, and answering any medical questions is simply unacceptable and should be transferred to a nurse practitioner. But as said, our goal was just to get the client into the center so that they can ask those questions and the nurse can properly advise her situation. One big limitation that occurred during this process was not being able to utilize this knowledge outside of the training. But as time progresses, the executive director will be closely monitoring improvements of the five receptionists who had participated.